Alrighty guys, so in today's lecture we're going to be learning some math skills you will need for chemistry. Now for a lot of you guys this will be review, but for some of you guys it'll be very helpful because you will need to know how to use decimals, fractions, and percentages on the fly as we go further into the content for chemistry. So let's do a couple examples today. So we have the number 0.85 and we have to turn it into a fraction and a percentage. So on the right here, I have a handy-dandy chart that'll help you interchange between all three of these types of numbers. So 0.85 is going to be a decimal, and we need to turn it first into a fraction and then into a percentage. So let's do the fraction one first. So what we need to do is, since we're starting here, in order to go here, we need to write it as a fraction and simplify. Now if you notice the number 0.85, what you want to do is just look for what place that last number is on. So this first number, 8.8, is going to be the 10th place. And then the second number right here is going to be in the 100th place. Okay, so since the final number is in the 100th place, all we need to do is take the numbers behind the decimal point and we just need to put it over 100. Because the last number is in the 100th place. Okay? So now that we turned it into a fraction, what we need to do is simplify. So in order to simplify, we just need to see what all the numbers in this fraction are divisible by. So easy number that we can use is 5. So 85 divided by 5, and the bottom is also going to be 5. So 85 divided by 5 is 17. And 100 divided by 5 is going to be 20. And if you look at it, this is not, you can't simplify it anymore, so this is going to be our final answer. So 0.85, you can convert it into the fraction 17 over 20. Now if we wanted to turn it into a percentage, we just need to go the other way. So to go the other way, it tells us all you need to do is multiply by 100. So you have 0.85 and you just multiply that by 100. If you punch that into your calculator, you should get the number 85, and since it's a percentage, you have to put percent. So there you go, 85%. So 0.85 is equal to 17 over 20, and 0.85 is also equal to 85%. So that's basically it. So if you guys feel you could try this on your own using this table, feel free to pause the video and do so. But if not, I'll be going over this problem as well. So first we're going to turn 64% into a decimal, and then we're going to turn it into a fraction. So let's turn 64% into a decimal. So if we want to do that, first we need to go from percent to a decimal, and it tells us to do that we need to divide by 100. So we have 64%, and just punch in divided by 100 on your calculator. I do want to let you know though, don't punch in 64% into your calculator, just put 64. So 64 divided by 100, and that's going to give you 0.64. Okay, and since it's not a percentage anymore, we're not going to write the percent sign. Okay, and then for part B, in order to turn it into a fraction, since we have the decimal, we went from 64%, we turned it into 0.64. And then in order to turn it into a fraction, we just need to figure out what number to put it over. So the first number, 6, is in the 10th place. The second number, the last number, is in the 100th place. So we'll do 64 over 100. Okay? And then we are just going to divide it. So if we divide 64 and 100, we just need to figure out what number can we divide it by. So you don't need to start with this number, but since both of these are even numbers, we know that all even numbers can be divided by 2. So if we divide it by 2, we can turn 64 into 32, and then we can turn 100 into 50. But if you notice, you can divide it again, because 32 is an even number, and 50 is an even number as well. So you can simplify it again by dividing it by 2, and that'll give you 16 over 25. And then if you notice, you can't simplify this anymore, so this is going to be our final answer. Okay, you could have also done this by doing 64 over 100 divided by 4. If you divided both numbers by 4, it'll end up giving you the exact same number. It doesn't matter as long as you simplify it all the way down. Okay? Alrighty, so moving on. Okay, we'll do a couple more examples. So if we start with 2 over 5 and then we turn it into a decimal, let's say this one's A and this one is B. Okay, again, if you feel confident doing this on your own, feel free to pause the video, but if not, you can follow along with me. So 2 over 5 into a decimal and percentage. 2 over 5 is obviously a fraction, so we're going to start right here. We're going to go from fraction to decimal, so you just need to divide the numerator by the denominator. So we have 2 over 5. That means in your calculator, all you need to do is do 2 divided by 5, and that will give you your decimal. So if you do 2 divided by 5, you should get 0.4, and you can just double check that in your calculator. Okay, so this is going to be your decimal. Alright, and then to go from decimal to percentage, you just need to multiply the decimal by 100. So you just need to take 0.4 times 100, and then that should give you 40, and since it's a percentage, don't forget the percent sign. Alright, so pretty simple. Alright, let's do one last example for these conversions, and then we'll move on to something a little bit more challenging. So we have the number 4. So if you notice, the number 4, we're asked to turn it into a fraction and then into a percentage. That means it's probably going to be, we have to work with these decimals. But if you notice, 4 is not, there's no decimal point, right? We just have 4. It's just a whole number. But if you have a number where you don't have a decimal, all you need to do is just add 0.0, because 4 is equal to 4.0. Okay? So let's start off by turning it into a fraction. Okay? So in order to turn a whole number into a fraction, we know all we need to do is 4 over 1. If you have a whole number, turning it into a fraction is very easy. All we need to do is we just need to put it over 1, because the only number 4, this is in the ones place. Okay? Alright, for a percentage, what we need to do is we just need to multiply the decimal by 100. So we do 4 times 100, and that'll give us 400%. Okay, so if you have a whole number, it's very easy. For whole numbers, in order to turn it into a fraction, all you need to do is put it over 1. So for fractions, you just need to put it over 1. And then for a percentage, all you need to do is the same thing that we've been doing. You just need to multiply by 100%. Alrighty, so that's what you do when you have a whole number. Let's move on. Okay, so as we go further into chemistry, we're going to be working a lot more with word problems, and we're not just going to be converting numbers. We're going to be applying it into real life situations. So here we have a real life situation, and what we need to do is we need to take the information that we have and turn it and use math to figure out the answer. So when a person goes into surgery, they are given morphine. So the chemical we're talking about here is morphine, and it's used as an anesthesia. A vial of morphine contains 1,000 milligrams of morphine. So it's basically saying that there's a bottle right here, and inside the bottle there is 1,000 milligrams of morphine. Okay, and let's say a patient needs 12.25 milligrams of morphine for their surgery. Seems like it's going to be a very long surgery. And so what percentage of the vial is going to be used? So basically what this is telling us is that, hey, inside this container there's 1,000 milligrams of morphine. What the doctor is going to do, the anesthesiologist, is that person is going to take out 12.25 milligrams of morphine. That's how much they're going to take out. And so what the question is asking is what percentage of the vial is being used. Okay? What percentage of the vial is being used? So when we have a situation like this, what we need to do is we need to set up a fraction. We need to put the total on the bottom and then on the top we have to put the number that we're given. Okay? So we just need to set up a fraction. Our given number divided by the total. Now if you notice, the given number, the amount of morphine that we take out, is going to be 12.25. So we have 12.25 milligrams of morphine. But the total amount of morphine we started off with is 1,000 milligrams. So we have 1,000 milligrams. So here you go. We have our fraction. We have our fraction right here. So since we have a fraction, we can find the percentage. So all we need to do is start from here, turn that into a decimal, and then turn that into a percentage. So when we go from fraction to decimal, all we need to do is divide the top number by the bottom number. So what we can do here is we just do 12.25 divided by 1,000. Punch that into your calculator, and you should get 0.01225. Alright, and then after that, it just tells you need to multiply that by 100. So for your final step, all we need to do is punch in 0.01225 times 100, and that'll give you 1.225. And since it's a percentage, we're going to write percentage. So that means that for this surgery, the percentage of the vial that we used 1.225% of the vial of morphine. Okay? So you'll have a couple more examples like this on your assignment, and I know it can be kind of challenging to read a word problem or look at a situation and derive fractions and percentages out of it, but as you do more, it should help you as you get a little bit more practice. It kind of comes with experience. Alright, the last type of math we'll be doing in chemistry is solving for a variable. So this is just basic algebra. So here I have a fraction set up. 2x over 3 equals 4 over 7. So this is very easy to solve. When you have two fractions equal to each other, what you want to do is cross multiply. Okay, you want to cross multiply when there's two fractions equal to each other. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the top on one side and multiply it by the bottom on the other side. So 2x times 7. So 2x times 7. 2 times 7 is 14, and there's still an x. So we're going to have 14x. And then what we're going to do is set that equal to the top of the other side and the bottom of this side, and just multiply it. So 3 times 4 is going to give you 12. Okay? And then since we have 14x, we want to solve for x. We want x to be by himself. So in order to do that, we just need to divide by 14. So divide by 14. The 14s will cancel out. And then x is equal to 12 over 14. But when you're solving for x, you want to set that up as a decimal. Okay? So it's asking us to set it up, find it as a decimal. So all you're going to do in your calculator is just punch in 12, the top, divided by 14, the bottom. So you can just go on your calculator, and then 12 divided by 14. And then you get this big long number, but then for this class, I only want you to give me up to 3 numbers after the decimal that are not 0. So here, I just want you to give me 0.857. Okay, so x is equal to 0.0857. Okay, so again, for this class, I want you to give me 3 numbers after the decimal, but 3 numbers that are not 0. Okay, so for example, if you have 0.000432, do not give me just 0.000. You have to add the zeros. You would give me the whole thing. 3 numbers that are not 0 after the decimal. Okay, but if you have something like this where you have 0.04013, you can just give me 0.040. Okay, as long as there is a number that's not 0 in the first 3 numbers, you can give me that. But if they're all zeros, then you need to give me 3 numbers after the 0. Okay. Alrighty, so let's do a couple more examples. Oh, I guess this is our last example. Okay, so here we need to solve for x again. So we're solving for x. The problem is, it looks like we have other variables. We have y, but don't be intimidated by the y. Since we have two two fractions equal to each other, we need to cross multiply again. So we're going to do the top times the bottom. So we're going to multiply those. So if you guys punch that into your calculator, you just need to do 14 times 13, and that's going to give you 182. So that means here, for these two numbers, we're going to get 182, and the variable that we had was y, so we're going to do y. Okay, and we're going to set that equal, but we have to multiply the other side or the top and the bottom of the other ones as well. So we have 5x, I'm going to do it in blue, times y. So we're going to do 5x times y. Since there's two variables, we just need to do 5, and then don't forget x and y. Okay, and we're going to set those equal to each other. Okay, so we multiply the top and the bottom of one, and then the top and the bottom of the other. And so what we need to do is we need to solve for x. We need to make x right here by itself. Now, it looks like x is multiplied to 5 and y. So if we rewrote this side, it would be 5 times x times y. And so what we need to do is we need to make sure that x is by itself. Since x is multiplied to 5 and y, what we want to do is we want to divide by 5, and we want to divide by y. So let's start off by dividing by y. Okay, so we're going to divide by y. So we're going to divide this right side by y, and we're going to divide this side by y. Okay, since you need to do both. If you divide 5xy by y, the two variables will cancel out, right? Because if you have something on top of a fraction and you have the same thing on the bottom, you can just cancel them out. So the y's cancel out. And if you notice here, same thing. There's a y on the top, a y on the bottom. So these will also cancel out. So now we just have 182 equals 5x. And now all we need to do is isolate the x so we can divide by 5 on both sides. If you divide by 5 on both sides, these 5's will cancel out. And then you have 182 divided by 5. So we can just go to our calculator and punch in 182 divided by 5, and that'll give you 36.4. So here, for our final answer, we have x is equal to 36.4, and that'll be our final answer. Alrighty guys, so that's going to be the math that we're going to cover today. We talked about fractions, decimals, and percentages, and also solving for y using cross multiplying. I do want to make sure that you guys remember though that when you cross multiplying, it is only, and make sure you guys write this on your notes, only when two fractions are equal. Okay? So it only works if you have two fractions equal to each other. Okay? Something like this. If you have something where it's not two fractions equal to each other, so for example, if you have like, I don't know, 3 plus x over 2 equals 4 over 5, you can't just cross multiply here. Okay? You need to turn it into two fractions before you can cross multiply. Okay, so just make sure that you guys keep that in mind. It is only when two fractions are equal to one another. So I hope that was helpful. Let me know if you guys have any questions, but good luck on your assignment, and I'll see you guys next time.